I know this is going to be hard to believe, but it turns out that Ray Comfort is even more full of shit than we were giving him credit for. So as we mentioned on episode 321, Ray Comfort is mad at us. Or more accurately, he pretended to be mad at us to serve an ulterior motive on account of all the aforementioned shit that he's full of. But in case you missed that episode or it was drowned out under the 14 scandals an hour news cycle that we live in now, here's a quick refresher. In a promotion for our live GAM record at their convention this year, American Atheist sent out an email to their members that read in part, quote, God-Awful Movies digs into the truly nefarious messages spread by movies like Passion of the Christ, All the King's Horses, The Accidental Activist, Miracles from Heaven, and the entire catalog of Ray Comfort's films. Sure, the movies are poorly made, and it would be charitable to describe the cast members as actors, but more than that, these movies need taking down because of the harmful, even deadly messages they send, end quote. It then goes on to describe a few of those harmful, even deadly messages, such as, if your husband hits you, pray harder. And if your kid is dying, just pray harder. And if your kid is gay, just pray harder. You get it. Anyway, Ray Comfort gets a hold of this promotion, and if you're inclined to be generous, he misunderstands it. I am not inclined to be generous, so I'll say he intentionally misrepresents it. So he puts up a video using cherry-pick quotes to promote his stupid fucking movie, and in the video he says, quote, if you belong to American Atheist, you would have received a newsletter this week from your leaders warning you about our movies. They don't think you're intellectually mature enough to handle seeing any of them. In fact, they're calling for censorship of the, quote, entire catalog of Ray Comfort's films, end quote. They say, quote, these movies need taking down because of the harmful, even deadly messages they send. And cherry-picked ellipses in bracket, quote, and actual, I gave you the full context because I'm not full of shit, quote. Now, he then goes on to invite American Atheists conference attendees to come see the movie that the atheist leaders don't want you to see, and he even entices them by promising a free autograph copy of his book and a free banana split to anybody who shows up and presents an AA Con badge. Now, there weren't many, but a few of the attendees elected to take Ray up on his offer. I know Mark and Dan from How to Heretic brought a carload or two, and they invited Heath, Eli, and me to come along. In fact, invited is probably understating it a bit. There were threats of physical violence, but ultimately we elected not to go because fuck Ray Comfort up his banana holster. If Ray Comfort wants me there, I know better than to be there. And sure enough, my suspicions were confirmed when I saw Mark and Dan later that night, and I learned that the invite, the free book, and even the banana split were all a bullshit con job. So let's start with this banana split. Okay, picture a banana split in your mind. Are you seeing a banana that has been split? All right, you're already expecting too much. Okay, don't even bother putting scoops of ice cream and a delectable assortment of toppings on it. What he actually had were a bunch of Solo cups with a sad dollop of store-brand ice cream, few banana slices, a half-hearted drizzle of pineapple mucus, and maybe a single chocolate sprinkle in there somewhere. Right, like if I ordered a banana split at a restaurant and they served me this pathetic parfait-lit, I'd stand atop my table to piss on it and all the other patrons would react with a slow clap in solidarity. Also, by the way, the banana splits weren't even just for the atheists. They were just giving that 9 cents worth of confection to everyone who showed up for his dismal little screening. Oh, and the book? All right, so I read most of it that evening in a bar while conversing with 11 other people in an hour and a half. It was 144 pages long if you count the bastard cover, the cover page, the dedication, the end notes, and the advertisements for his other books at the end. And to even get there, he needed to arrange the font size, spacing, and margins like a sophomore that forgot that shit was due this Thursday. It's less of a book than a verbose pamphlet. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if even the autograph on it was scribbled by an unpaid volunteer. But foremost of the bullshit was the invitation itself. In the video, he pretended that the real purpose of inviting the atheist was to extend an olive branch and, reach out to them with a message of friendship, to show that he's not the dangerous, even deadly messenger that his intentionally misleading bullshit quote made him out to be. But what he really wanted was a fucking prop. Okay, see, the movie he was premiering and the prodigious brochure he was giving away along with it is all an effort to rewrite history in such a way that he's been in on the joke the whole time. In fact, that notorious banana video where he describes the banana using almost exclusively dick words? He did that on purpose. It was supposed to be a joke, and it was all part of his master plan to drive a thin wedge into the atheist movement by being laughably stupid every time he tried to justify the existence of God. He was doing all of that on purpose, y'all. And Why was this devout evangelical making dick jokes about creationism? Because he knew that would get the atheists of the world to invite him on their podcast and make fun of him and watch his videos, even if it was just for laughs. Hell, maybe if he was real lucky, one of them would make up a funny Ray Comfort voice and lick him in public. But it was all so that he could trick atheists into listening to the gospel that they'd so studiously avoided their whole lives. Never mind that the average atheist is way more likely to have read the Bible than the average Christian. Never mind that most of the active atheists used to be at least as devoutly Christian as Ray Comfort, and they used to try to force that very same gospel down the throats and up the asses of every person they met. He's going to tell us his redacted hodgepodge of Jesus myths, and that's going to make the difference. And of course, to sell this message to the assembled audience of elderly bigots and homeless people who were just there for the free pudding cup splits, he needed a group of atheists in the audience at the end of the movie to prove that he was getting through. And sure enough, at the end of the screening, he says something along the lines of, "And if you don't really believe my antics can bring in atheists to hear the gospel, please allow me to introduce this group of atheists from the American Atheist Convention that came down here to be with us today and listen to the gospel." So he misled a bunch of atheists about Banana Split's books and intentions as a step in his effort to mislead a bunch of Christians about a bunch of atheists. At this point, his lies have lies in their lies, and somehow, buried under this mountain of intentional bullshit upon intentional bullshit upon intentional bullshit, he still tells himself that there's an ultimate truth at the bottom.